Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to do a review on my Bluetipz tip-up alarms from Deep Freeze. In the last week I seen that they had a 25% off promo for existing customers. If you entered a code that's on the front of your existing product, like your transmitters and your receivers. This year they're offering, or they're advertising on their receivers that they're getting double the range as they did last year, and I couldn't pass that up because last year, like, I was living on the lake, and I don't know how far my tip-offs were away. They had to be a couple hundred yards from the house, and then I had this receiver here in a Ziploc bag, and I had it nailed probably 8 feet up in the air on a tree. Because the higher you get your receiver, the better range you get. I was quite a ways off. I was up, living on a bank up off the lake, and then the tree give me pretty good range. And then if you put your transmitter up higher on the flag, you get better range that way. Well, it worked fine. The receiver just about always got the signal, but it wouldn't transmit it to my phone. Most of the times it wouldn't do it. And I wasn't that far away, but that's the best I could get. And then on the ice shack, you seen in my video that I mentioned how I wanted to put a pole up and get my receiver up higher off the ground, to get better signal, better distance. Well, we did that. That's going to come in a later video. I'll show you more improvements that we made on the shack. But I did that. I put a pole up and then I tested it. And the receiver, again, got the signal just about every time, but it wouldn't transmit the signal another 10 foot inside the shack to my phone. So, this product here, this is the old one. I mean, they look exactly the same as far as I can tell, but this is the old one. I wrote on the back. It was last year's model. This is the new one. This one's supposed to transmit it twice as far as they did last year. And it was supposed to receive the signal twice as far and repeat the signal to your smartphone twice as far. Last year there'd be times where I bet you I was 200 to 300 yards away and the old one would receive it. So you're going to get some really good distance out of the new ones. I don't know. I hope it works better than it did last year. That's for sure. Most of the time, about 90% of the time, I had tip-ups in the water 2 to 3 nights a week, living out at the lake, and I bet you all winter I maybe only got the signal to my phone 3 or 4 times, and it was in the same spot every time basically, but it's just 3 or 4 times it happened to work. So double the distance anyways. You're going to get some good distance out of these things. If you practice the receiver high up off the ground, 10 to 12 feet, and the transmitter, just like they say. They got their own YouTube channel. Check them out. They're Deep Freeze is the name of their channel. Just like they say. Just, if you do what they recommend, you're going to get some good distance out of them. And these are pretty comparable to the Vulture systems. The Vulture systems seem like they have better range, and doesn't matter what's in between you and your tip-up or anything like that as far as the signal. You get it every time, but the Vulture systems are way more expensive than these things, so keep that in mind. Anyhow, they redid the app this year too on the Bluetipz. This is the app. You can record your own custom tones this year. You can set a different tone for each tip-up. You can obviously name each tip-up. I got 3 of them. I only got 1 in here today, but I got 3 of them. Name them all something different. Have a different ringtone for each one, and then you know which one's going up. I'll do a little demonstration here. Turn on the receiver. Probably doesn't need to be on, but we'll show how it works. Turn on uh, transmitter. You got to make sure your Bluetooth is on your phone. If you don't have your Bluetooth on, it ain't going to work. Return scanning to on. And my devices, this is a Galaxy S6. I believe it works on pretty much any phone, but you can get the app on. So we'll trip the tip up. You can see here, I just missed that. But we'll do that one more time. I'll show you. You can log your fish, you can which tip up went up, the date, the time. You can mark whether you caught it or not, whether you kept it, comments on it. You can mark down the what type of fish, the weather. You can share it to social media right off there. It's kind of cool. Kind of pattern what you're doing. Which spots work the best. You just log it on there and say, maybe that weed flat that you had your one tip up in was the hot tip up that night. Maybe you go back a day or two later or next week. Maybe you put 2 tip ups instead of just one in that one spot. It's a good thing to help you remember what was working on a particular night or day or something. You have to remember, the main thing on these things is you have to remember to keep them elevated. Always put them up. Put the transmitter up higher on the flag. Put the receiver up 10 to 12 feet if you can, or as high as possible. And if you're going to be using your smartphone, which you don't have to, this thing works good as just a station to look at. If you got your 3 tip ups out, the signal's going to be coming to this thing. So all you really have to do is keep this in your line of sight, or within hearing distance. You'll hear this beep, or look for this red flash, which may be hard to see during the daytime. But this is a good thing to just keep in your line of sight. I'm not going to on my permanent shack this year, but we did build another thing I'll show you again on the second part of my shack tour, is we put some shelves up in the windows for our smartphones. And then it made me real happy to see that they're advertising twice the distance this year. So twice the distance, I put the little shelves up by the windows for smartphones. I should always get the signal. And the main thing is here too is to keep snow away. Like if you have your transmitter down here next to the spring part of your flag, and then you got a mound of snow around it, that's water, and water kills the wireless signal. So be lucky to get the signal off something like that, especially if you're a good distance away and it doesn't transmit as far anyhow. Or to keep your cell phone out of your pocket, up on a window ledge, facing as close as possible to the receiver or the transmitter anyhow. But your body's made up of like 90% water, and that's going to kill the wireless signal too. So try to keep your phone out in the open to where it can receive the signal. Now these things, I think they advertise, if you have your flag an average of 2 minutes per flag, the batteries in these transmitters will last twice as long. Or if you got a 2 minute per flag, it will last like 400 flags, is what they advertise, which could be true. I don't know. I haven't had them die yet, so we'll keep going with them. And then the receivers, it's just 2 AA batteries. I did get a lot of life out of them, and like I said, I used them a lot last year. So Duracells, they work pretty good, and they're not super expensive to replace. It's not the stupid odd size or anything you gotta look for specially and stuff. It's just 2 AA batteries that runs off. Try to keep it in a waterproof case. If it's raining or snowing out. They did advertise that they're going to sell a waterproof case, but I haven't seen one yet. So what I do is just a Ziploc, and that's what they recommended too. Just a Ziploc, hang it up somewhere. I'm going to be putting it on the pole. Last year I just nailed it to a tree, put a hole in the bag and put it on the nail. Anything really to keep it elevated. 10 to 12 feet is what they recommend. I think the pole in the shack might be a little higher than that, but should work just fine. It's a very useful product, I have to say. You know, like last year, I'd just sit in the house and drink beer and watch TV and wait for my phone to go off. Most of the time it didn't, but I'd keep my eye on the receiver. It worked pretty awesome. I really like them. They're a little expensive. I think for the three, I mean, we're in Wisconsin. I don't know what the regulations are in every state or anything, but the regulations in Wisconsin is 3 lines per person. So with the 3 transmitters and the receiver, it was like 140, 150 bucks last year. You got to pay shipping on that too, but it ain't much. Anyhow, I really like them. I would highly recommend them to somebody if you practice the right techniques to it. Keeping everything high up. Keep the transmitter, the receiver high up, and they work great. If you're fishing out of a permanent shack or out of your house, something like that, buy them. They're worth the money. That way, you know, you're not breaking your neck constantly, looking out the window constantly to see if you got a flag. Or if you are doing that, and you just, you know, not everybody looks at the tip-ups constantly, and you're looking at your phone or you're jigging at the same time, you know, you're not constantly watching your tip-ups, all of a sudden you get a blink or an alert on your phone. You know, the sooner you notice that you got a flag, the better. So I highly recommend them. I think they're an awesome product, and I would check them out. Check out their YouTube channel, Deep Freeze. So thanks for watching, and go pick them up.